For starters, Shaquille wasn't raised by his father. He also has a surprising cousin you'd be shocked to find out about. This is the family of Shaquille O'Neal, starting with his father. Joseph Tony was born in 1949, and he's the biological father of Shaq. For a long period of time, Shaq despised his father. He always avoided him at all costs. Well, he wasn't wrong in doing so, as his father was never really there for him. When Shaq was still a toddler, his father was always in and out of the police station for several crimes and drug-related problems until he was finally jailed. He was sentenced to 6 years in federal prison in Lexington for forging checks. Due to this, he had to pass complete custody to his then-wife, Lucille O'Neal, who would later remarry and transfer those rights to her new husband, Philip Harrison, who spared no effort in providing Shaq with the ideal upbringing. When Tony was much younger, he was an all-state guard while playing high school basketball. He also received a scholarship offer from Seton Hall University to play college basketball, but little is known about his basketball career after that. Now, we can see where Shaq got his skills from. Well, that seemed like the only thing he got from his father anyway. So Tony spent around 6 years in prison after abandoning his family, and by the time that he got out, his son and his wife had moved to Germany. He went on for years without trying to make an effort to get back in touch with his son and ex-wife because he was ashamed and felt undeserving of their attention. By the time Tony mustered enough courage to make an effort, Lucille's husband Philip Harrison made sure it wasn't possible, and it remained that way until Philip passed away. Philip Harrison was a career Army sergeant. He raised Shaq as his own son from when he was just 2 years old. Harrison made sure Tony never had anything to do with Shaq. He even made sure he never met him. He claimed he wasn't a changed man and was only after Shaq because of his fame and money. Tony decided he needed to change his life, so he started working at Goodwill, where he was operating a delivery truck, making deliveries to homeless shelters, and his reputation grew rather rapidly. I think we can understand Philip's point of view. It's not easy to give up a fatherhood position to someone you've raised your entire life. But according to Tony, he really did not forget about his son. He carried around a scrapbook in which he stored Shaq's birth certificate. He eventually got in touch with the coaches while Shaq was a member of the Orlando Magic and requested permission to see Shaq after a game, but Shaq clearly avoided him by using a different exit when the game was over. Despite several attempts from Tony, Shaq was just in no mood to entertain his biological dad. Shaq even threw shots at Tony in a rap song he released in 1994. He paid homage to his stepfather while dissing his biological father.
Biological father left me in the cold.
On the track, Shaq stated that he was dedicating the song to Philip Arthur Harrison because he was the one that took him from a boy to a man as far as he was concerned, and Harrison was truly his father. But as time went on, Shaq's mother Lucille became more insistent that he meet his biological father. Shaq, who was 47 at the time with 6 children of his own, almost didn't listen to his mom. He remained defiant for the longest period, changing his mind only in 2016, 3 years after the passing of his stepfather Harrison. Tony and Shaq eventually met at Vonda's Kitchen in Newark, New Jersey. Shaq frequented the eatery frequently, and Tony just happened to live above it. Shaq later stated in an interview that his job was just to love Tony as much as he could, and he's trying to do so. Shaquille O'Neal's mother, Lucille O'Neal, is a businesswoman and philanthropist who founded the Mothers of Professional Basketball Players organization. It's an organization that supports mothers whose sons or daughters play professional basketball. Shaq regularly talks about his mother and their close bond. She raised him in Newark, New Jersey. She has 4 children, Aisha, Latifah, Jamal, and Shaquille, who happens to be the oldest. She once talked about her struggles raising Shaq and his siblings alone as a single mother and how they had to live on a strict budget. The trials and tribulations of fending for herself all alone as a teen mom were sometimes very heavy. She was just 18 when she gave birth to Shaq, and you can imagine how difficult that would have been as a single teen mom. According to Lucille, she was still a baby, fresh out of high school, but she had to grow up and become a woman quite fast. She knew she had a big responsibility then, and it was challenging to balance a job and childcare at such a young age. However, the difficult circumstances made her and her kids stronger. After her kids were settled and Shaq made it to the NBA, he paid for her education. Lucille graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and then a Master of Arts in Organizational Management. Later, Bethune-Cookman University awarded her a Doctor of Humane Letters degree in 2016, which is why she goes by the name Dr. Lucille O'Neal. Lucille was passionate about her education. According to Shaq, his mother forced him to finish his college education himself. He claims that she is the reason he holds a doctorate's and a master's degree. Even though Shaq brought in millions, she always used to hold him to his promise that he would finish college. Shaq had no choice, and he lived up to it. After her short relationship with Shaq's father, Tony, she got married, of course, to Philip, who relieved her of the weight of raising a child alone.
The main thing we stress in our family is education, and that's the key to everything, you know. You can make a lot of money, but you know, you gotta have some sense to spend that money and manage that money. Without that sense and that education and knowledge, you're just like another lost soul out there.
Born in 1947 in Jamaica, Philip Harrison grew up to live a disciplinarian lifestyle. Perhaps it explains why he used a similar approach in raising Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq was raised pretty much entirely by Philip Harrison, who also served as his youth basketball team's coach. Harrison wanted Shaq to play in a way that made use of his strengths as a big man, and we saw clearly how that played out. According to rumors, Harrison played basketball when he was younger, even facing Shaq's biological father, Joseph Tony, in a high school game. While we don't know how true that actually is, that's pretty interesting. Harrison kept a close eye on Shaq's development to make sure he wouldn't stray because of Tony's problems with drugs and abandoning his family. Shaq has also admitted in the past that up until the age of 11, he was unaware that Harrison wasn't actually his biological father. Harrison unfortunately passed away at 66 due to a series of health problems. Have you ever wondered where Shaquille O'Neal might have gotten his physical traits from? Well, Shaq once talked about it in his book, Shaq Talks Back. In the book, he revealed that his mother's family was from Dublin, Georgia. His great-grandmother, CillarO'Neal, got married in 1930 at the age of 15 to his great-grandfather, Hilton O'Neal, who was a farmer. Although he never got to meet Hilton O'Neal, Shaq was told that the man was around 6'8" or 6'9", which probably explains why Shaq himself is 7'1". Shaq is well known for being a family man, but many don't know about his siblings. Jamal, Latifah, and Aisha O'Neal are Shaq's 3 siblings. Aisha is the most well-known of them due to her battle with cancer and her subsequent death from the disease in 2019. Let's talk about her for just a little bit here. Aisha once described how Shaq took care of her growing up. He taught her and her other sister how to play basketball and how to swim. She had been fighting cancer ever since she was a college student, but she still managed to graduate. Sadly, she did pass away at the age of 40. Apart from their names, little is known about Shaq's other 2 siblings. However, Shaq does have a surprising cousin. It might surprise you to know that American actor and stand-up comedian Bill Bellamy is a cousin of Shaq. Bellamy revealed this information in 2017 when he stated that he was happy about Shaq's success in basketball. Funny how Bellamy wanted to be a basketball player and Shaq wanted to be a comedian. Despite a 7-year age gap, the two do seem to get along rather well. In fact, they starred together in a 1998 Reebok commercial, despite the fact that no one at the time knew they were actually related. Bellamy first rose to fame on HBO's Russell Simmons' Def Comedy Jam, where he's credited with coining the term booty call, which refers to a late-night call to a potential partner with the intention of meeting only for sex.
Mike Tyson calls the honey from the hotel room 2 o'clock in the morning. Is that or is that not a booty call? Can you help me?
Next, let's talk about Shaq's ex-wife. Shaunie is one of the executive producers of Basketball Wives, a reality show about professional basketball players' wives, ex-wives, and girlfriends. She is the center of another reality television show, Shaunie's Home Court, which chronicles the lives of her 5 children and family. Shaq's relationship with Shaunie began in the late 1990s after he joined the Los Angeles Lakers. Soon after, Shaunie later revealed that Shaq was her first NBA boyfriend. The couple had their first child together named Sharif O'Neal in 2000 after dating for more than 2 years. Prior to that, Shaq had a daughter, Taahirah, with his ex-girlfriend Arnetta Yarborough, born in 1996, and Shaunie had a son, Miles, in 1997. Shaq and Shaunie welcomed their second child together, Amira O'Neal, to their growing family on November 13, 2001. Shaq eventually got married to Shaunie in an ultra-private ceremony at the Beverly Hills Hotel with security guards and dogs blocking onlookers and the press from the ballroom. Shaq withheld the specifics of their wedding from their 248 guests until the very last moment, but all of the secrecy paid off as Shaq's mother Lucille described the wedding as a wedding of a lifetime. On April 19, 2003, Shaunie gave birth to the couple's third child, a son named Shakir, in the midst of the NBA playoffs. On March 16, 2006, reports confirmed that the couple was expecting their fourth child together, a baby girl. Shaq and Shaunie celebrated the new addition to their family with a lavish Miami Beach baby shower that included everything from pampering to poker. Shaq returned to Miami just hours after playing in an NBA playoff game against the Chicago Bulls to witness the birth of his fourth child with Shaunie, and she was named Miara Sana. Everything appeared to be going smoothly until something unexpected happened. Shaq filed for divorce from his wife Shaunie in Miami after nearly 5 years of marriage and 4 kids together, 2 from their previous relationships. Shaq's lawyer filed a petition which stated that the marriage between the parties was irreparably broken, which means nothing can be done to save the marriage. Shaunie filed a court motion to dismiss Shaq's divorce petition in response. In the motion, she asked for a 3-month continuance in the hopes of repairing their marriage. She also denied that their marriage was irreparably broken, as Shaq claimed in his petition. She denied having been secretive about her assets as claimed in the divorce filing and insisted that she had nothing to hide. Shaunie told the Associated Press that she and her husband planned to end their divorce proceedings nearly a year after Shaq filed for divorce in Miami-Dade Circuit Court. However, in a shocking twist of events, Shaunie sought to end their 7-year marriage with Shaq this time. Citing irreconcilable differences, she filed for divorce in Los Angeles. According to the court documents, she asked for sole custody of the couple's 4 kids with visitation rights for Shaq. In an interview, she admitted she had struggled with the decision to divorce Shaq. She had a fear of being by herself and being responsible for so much on her own. However, right after she filed in November 2009, it felt like a weight was lifted off of her shoulders. Shaq explained the circumstances surrounding the dissolution of his 7-year marriage to Shaunie in his autobiography. The former NBA player admitted to having an affair and not being the best partner to his ex-wife. On May 28, 2022, Shaunie and her boyfriend, Pastor Keon Henderson, got engaged while vacationing on an unnamed tropical island after almost 2 years of dating. Shaunie said in a statement to reporters that, quote, "Being someone who had never officially been proposed to, this was one of the most magical and special days of my life." End quote. Shaunie wed Henderson in a beachside ceremony on a tropical island. The Aurora Anguilla Resort and Golf Club hosted the charming outdoor wedding with about 200 guests in attendance. She was escorted down the aisle by her 3 sons while wearing a sparkling gown designed in collaboration with fashion stylist Eric Archibald by John Louis Sabaji. All of Shaunie's 5 children were in attendance at the wedding. Shaq later congratulated his ex-wife on her new engagement. He stated in an episode of the Pivot podcast that she's happy now. "I'm happy for her because she's about to marry a fine young gentleman." Shaq also admitted that he blamed himself for the breakdown of his marriage to his ex-wife Shaunie. He also admitted that after his ex-wife and kids left their Orlando mansion, he felt lost.
I was lost.
Quote, "Lost in a 76,000 square foot house by yourself. No kids, go to the gym, there aren't any games there, visit their room, no one is there." End quote. In all 6 years of being together, the couple had wonderful kids and all of them seem to be doing great at the moment. Taahirah O'Neal was born in 1996 to Shaq and his former girlfriend Yardbro. As seen on TNT's Shaq Life, she earned a magna cum laude degree from Oglethorpe University in 2019. According to her LinkedIn profile, she works as a communications associate analyst for PepsiCo and a part-time social media assistant at her father's entertainment business, Mine Oh Mine. She's all about the business. Taahirah often tends to shy away from the spotlight, unlike her half-siblings. This is why her name doesn't come up too often. She does so because her education is her first priority, apparently, and considering the fact she graduated with magna cum laude honors, Shaq was probably the most proud of her. On November 16, 2022, she uploaded an Instagram picture of herself and her father beaming during the launch of his new series, Shaq. She wrote in the captions, quote, "Last night, I walked my very first carpet with my bestie at the premiere of his HBO documentary series titled, you guessed it, Shaq." End quote. The first installment of Shaq will premiere on HBO Max on Wednesday, November 23rd, with new episodes being added each subsequent Wednesday. In 1997, Shaunie gave birth to Miles, who later adopted O'Neal's last name. Miles is no stranger to the entertainment industry, having appeared on TV and walking the runway since he was a young boy. Unlike his siblings, he tried the fashion industry instead of basketball. He is also a millionaire already at just 24. His net worth is around $1.5 million at the moment, a huge sum considering he isn't in basketball or any other sport. In 2010, he made his television debut on his mother's reality program, Basketball Wives. He returned to television 3 years later on his relative's program, Shaunie's Home Court. Miles participated in the Dolce & Gabbana Spring 2018 runway show during Milan Fashion Week at the age of 21, making his fashion show debut. He's also a DJ, as is seen on his Instagram page, and on October 22nd this year, he posted a photo of him and his dad in a circuit race in America, which he captioned, "Another F1 in the books." Sharif is one of Shaq's kids that's following in the footsteps of his dad. He's 22 years old, plays as a forward for Louisiana State University, and is a budding basketball star. Before that, he competed for the University of California, Los Angeles. Sharif had a breakout year his sophomore year of high school, demonstrating his extreme versatility after seeing little playing time as a high school freshman. He played briefly for UCLA after controversy surrounded his plans to play for Arizona in college. He was then diagnosed with a heart condition that eventually required surgery in his first collegiate season. Sharif was what some would call an unconventional NBA draft prospect. He was once a top high school recruit, but during his time playing for LSU and UCLA, he only averaged 2.6 points per game. That's not exactly the type of player who typically enters the draft early, but Sharif did just that earlier this year while still being eligible. His father was not pleased with that decision. Unfortunately, Sharif eventually went undrafted in June, and despite signing with the Los Angeles Lakers for Summer League, he didn't end up with an NBA contract for the season. However, he eventually made the best of the situation by joining G League Ignite, and he now claims that he and his father have settled. After spending 2 years at LSU, Sharif has now accessed the transfer portal and is once again on the move. Shaq reportedly said of his son, quote, "Wherever he decides, I'm behind him. He has a history of bad luck in basketball and is a grown man making a decision," end quote. According to Shaq, he hopes he gets a shot wherever he goes. Amira is a 21-year-old collegiate athlete at Texas Southern University, where she plays basketball. She was born on November 13, 2001, and was inspired to play basketball by her father and, of course, her elder brother, Sharif. Amira spent 3 years playing at Crossroads High School in Santa Monica, California, where she played a crucial leadership role for the team from the center position. Her junior year, she scored an average of 17.2 points per game and earned a spot on the Cal High Sports Division IV All-State team. Amira, who allegedly dominated the center position like her father, was a huge asset to her team. She now plays NCAA basketball, and at 6'2", it is clear that she has absorbed a lot from her father's game. She started off at Louisiana State University, but transferred to Texas Southern. Amira is currently a basketball player and business major at Texas Southern, and coincidentally, Johnny Jones, who was an assistant at LSU when she played, is the head coach at Texas Southern. Shakir, who is 19 years old, also loves sports. According to ESPN, the TSU forward pledged to the school to change the narrative about historically black colleges and universities in an interview with Overtime. He currently plays basketball for Texas Southern. Aside from basketball, he has some interest in fashion. Shakir reportedly signed a 6-figure deal to launch a clothing line with Boohoo Man when he was just 18 years old. Not too bad for a young guy. Amira, who is 16, is only in high school, but according to her Instagram, she has offers from UCLA, TCU, Virginia, and Howard University. Following her elder brother Sharif, she is the second of her siblings to receive an offer from UCLA. The 16-year-old, who stands about 6'3" tall, plays in the center position like her father. In 2024, she will begin playing college basketball. In ESPN's rankings for the class of 24 women's basketball recruiting class, she received a 3-star post-player rating. Amira and the late Gianna Bryant had a close friendship and also shared a mutual love for basketball. Amira and Gianna began making waves in the basketball world back in 2020. She also made mention of the fact that the two had the same birthday and the message she put out following Gianna Bryant's passing. Enjoyed this family video? Then check out our other videos on the family of famous basketball stars.